Folks, we're talking about the Kairos Code today with Josh Kosnick. And listen, I think this is super relevant for where we are in the world today. Welcome, Josh.
Thanks, Carrie. It's good to be on here with you, my friend.
Oh man, I'll tell you what. So let's say I meet you in an elevator or an airplane could happen. I know you're from Milwaukee, right? Milwaukee area-ish.
Madison area.
Madison. All right.
Close
We'll
enough.
allow that. We'll allow Madison. But I meet you and you say, "Hey, I'm an author. I got this crazy cool book." What is the book about?
For me, if I met someone in an elevator like you, Carrie, I'd talk about the discontent of our soul and
Mm,
how we're continually running and running towards achievements, titles, money, and yet there still seems to be something missing.
wow.
And this book and what I found and the hard lessons and the pain that I went through were the lessons that I extracted through that pain are what transposed this book. And
I'll
so
tell
I
you
want
what,
to teach
man.
people to reconnect with their soul, reconnect with their, whether it's their spiritual being through God, whether it's their internal being emotional, physical, and
Yes.
mental. The best relationships in their life, are we pouring into those? And of course, I want you to be really successful. And that's where we finish off with leaving a legacy.
So you kind of see people that are outwardly successful, maybe, but that their soul, their inner work is not really there.
Yeah, I see it too often. And I was that. Like, I think, we've all heard you're best equipped to help the previous version of yourself. And I
Right.
was there. Outwardly, I looked massively successful. Owned a business that was managing $4 billion.
Wow.
Have a great wife, great kids. I'm physically fit. People know I believe in God, but I wasn't fully connected to any of it outside of work. If
Mm,
you just looked at, like, you look at someone's calendar, and that'll show you their priorities. Work was my priority, and continuing to grow
mm.
that business was my priority. And yes, I love my wife. Yes, I love my kids. Yes, I love Jesus. But I wasn't as focused on those things as I was work. And therefore, it left a hole in me like it does in so many. And fortunately for me, where I've seen a lot of people that I coach and others that I've been friends with or mentored by in the past go through divorce, go through alcoholism, go through gambling problems or pornography addictions or whatever it may be, because they're trying to fill this hole that they don't know exactly where it came from or how it got there. They just know it's there.
Mm, mm. So was there a point that you woke up? In other words, what would you say if you could kind of take us to that point?
Well, yeah, unfortunately for me, I was slapped down to wake up. So in the story that I share in the book is how I told you I was running that firm, but it was taken away from me in a very cruel way. And so yes, they had to buy me out, and yes, I was financially fine, but I was broken everywhere else
Mm.
because my
Trust.
identity was wrapped. Well, not just trust, betrayal, shame, guilt, all the different feelings that I had, but that was my identity. It's very similar to, say, someone that gets out of the military or someone that finishes their NFL career, and that was their entire identity the whole time. And they go, "Who am I now?"
Mm.
Or someone that sells their business and that has been their entire life's work, and they go into retirement like my father did. Who am I now? And
Wow.
so for me, it was slapped down at age 41 and figuring out how to navigate not only my own emotions, but also what was next.
Mm.
And in through that process, it was figuring out as like I placed emphasis on the wrong area. And I think most of us do. And I think it's societal conditioning and it's also the human condition. Society from a very young age asks us, and we did as parents, I'm sure maybe you did as well. I've been guilty as a parent, ask my kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? And then in high school, it's reinforced with, what are you going to go to college for? And then
Mm.
in college, it's reinforced with, what are you going to do with your degree? And no one ever stops and asks us, who do we want to be? Who do
Mm.
you want to be, Carrie? And it's more about the who. Is like, I wasn't just the owner of that firm. I wasn't the managing partner like that. That's not just who I was. I'm also a child of God. I'm also an amazing husband. I'm an amazing father. I'm also an athlete. I'm also competitive. Like, we have all these formations of little things that add up to our identity, But when you go to a cocktail party, the very first question out of someone's mouth is, what do you do, Carrie?
What do you do? Yeah, that's right. Wow. This is good and super relevant. I'll tell you what, man. So I want to show people a few different websites here. One is we have your website related to the book, Build the Life You Were Meant to Lead. Ooh, I like that. That's pretty cool. That's a little play on words. You normally don't see that. It's more like build the life you wish you had or build a life you want to live. Why do you say the word lead?
We're all leaders. I believe this. I believe we're all leaders. Whether you lead yourself, you lead your household, you're a leader in the community, whatever role you take on as a leader, you're a leader. And so I've run into quite a few people who's like, I wasn't born as a leader. I wasn't born with that trait. And I'm like, yes, you were. Because we first have to lead ourselves to be able to lead others. And so for us, then it's identifying what is God's gift in all of us. Each of us was given and endowed with a very specific or unique gift, potentially gifts for some, but there's at least one, just like each of us, all 7 billion plus people on the planet, have a unique set of fingerprints that was given to just you. And so gifts were given to just you. So it's figuring out what those gifts are, seeing how deep they go, and give them back to the world in the service of others. And that's the life you were meant to lead.
Man, this looks so good. 5 Bridges Farm. So you actually do legit events where you bring people together?
Yeah, that's my favorite thing. So when I had that fall and I was slapped down, I was getting offers from all different financial institutions to basically do what I was doing. And every time I took an interview, I had this weird feeling in my stomach. And I had to pray a lot with God and figure out, well, this is so natural. Like, why wouldn't I do what I've been building over the 17 years plus that I've been doing it? And basically he was telling me in that time that I'd accomplished everything I set out to. It's time to blaze a different trail. And now my impact's opened up. So I help entrepreneurs all over the country. But my biggest joy is not flying out to them, but rather having them fly to me and come to the farm and be able to detach from our Zoom screens, detach from our fluorescent lights, get out into nature, tap back in, work on the business instead of in it, work on yourself instead of in your life. And so that you can go back to your world, back to your family, back to your business as a better human being.
This is amazing. I really like everything I'm reading here. The different bridges, spiritual, internal, relationships, environment, and legacy. I'm sure these don't happen without intention in terms of the order. Did
Correct.
you put this on purpose?
Yeah, I put that on purpose, and I actually put it in the book of how it came about. So Darren Hardy was someone I followed for many years. He ran Success Magazine. He's written a couple different books.
I've been to his events.
The Entrepreneur Roller Coaster and Compound Effect. In the Compound Effect, which was a tremendous book, he lays out the life wheel. And for over 10 years straight, I would do that life wheel as a part of my annual planning. But when I went through this, kind of horrible time, dark period of my life, I realized that wheel didn't have an order of importance. It was trying to get an even wheel, right? To have all your dots, make sure that your life was quote unquote balanced. And I was like, okay, so I just lost everything. What I thought was I lost everything. I didn't lose my family. I didn't lose my faith in God. I didn't lose my life. Right. So I didn't lose everything.
Wow.
But I lost everything materially, positionally, identity-wise. So there is an importance to this in the steps or the bridges that I call them. Like without my spiritual founding in God, I'm nothing. Without the gifts that he has given me that the world gets to see now, like I often will quip when people compliment me is like, anything good you see in me came from him. And I'm just a steward of the gifts to give back to the world. And so being right spiritually. And again, when I'm on stage, I'm careful. Like I want people to know, like, you may not believe what I believe.
Sure.
But we've all been through a funeral, a wake, visitation, and seen the body present, the spirit gone. So we know that we're spiritual beings.
That's right.
And so for me, spirit has to come first, and just knowing why we exist, what our purpose is here on this planet. Then the bridge 2 is if I'm not right internally, meaning my physical health, my mental health, and my emotional health, I can't be the best for others. So as a leader, I need to be my best so that I can be the best for others.
Wow.
And then once I'm right for myself, I can be right for my most highest valued relationships. God, myself, my wife, my kids, and then everyone else. And our job is to not screw up the order.
It's
And
good.
once we get through and make sure that our relationships are really sound, because I believe they're the fruit of life that will bring us the most joy, then we can focus on the professional bridge, which is I call environment. And the reason I call environment, because it's all the things you put around you. It's how you actually go and do your work. It's how you set up your finances and make sure that you're planning for the future, but also being able to live for today. I was in that world for 17 plus years, so I can speak to it very well. And then one of the things that we forget is when we were kids, we were very creative, very playful. And as adults, we don't necessarily give ourselves time and space to do that. And that brings us a lot of joy in life. So your environment is more than just your profession. But that's the bridge we all tend to skip to and skip over: spiritual, internal, and relationships, or at least we sacrifice those first three bridges for the fourth. Yeah. And if we get the order right, we get to bridge 5 and we get to live a legacy. And the legacy piece that I focus on a lot with people is we as humans tend to think our legacy is sometime down the road, just sometime out in the future, but not today. And some people think it's what we leave behind. And I just want to correct two things. Your legacy is built every single day you're blessed to wake up. And it's built every day through every action, through every conversation, through every interaction that you're having with people. That is part of your legacy. So it's how do you want to leave a part of yourself in others because we never know when that last day is going to be.
That's right.
So we got to be cognizant of our legacy every day we wake up.
I love these 5 bridges. I also saw you have this rhino thing going on. So let's break down all these things, because I feel like the book is definitely going to be helpful for a lot of people, but I think some people want to jump in and do more. So besides taking this awesome assessment, which they should absolutely do it's joshkosnick.com. But let's look at the coaching. That's what we're just talking about?
Some of what I take people through the 5 bridges and make sure they're aligned in all of my coaching. So whether it's one-on-one coaching, mastermind, the Rhino Bootcamp is specifically for financial advisors. That because I had so much experience in that world, I still want to give back to that world a little bit.
Yeah.
But the masterminds, the one-on-one coaching, and anything else I do in the future is going to have to deal with these 5 bridges and helping people fill the hole in their soul. And it's a little bit different for everyone. Someone may be really spiritually sound, but they haven't figured out how to master themselves yet.
Wow.
They haven't figured out how to master some of their key relationships because they're holding on to some past traumas, some past hurts that they just haven't figured out how to get past. And so I meet people where they are, and that's what the assessment does, is it gives you a totality score of the 5 bridges, but then each bridge gets a score. And so we figure out which bridge is the laggard right now, so that we know which gap we need to fill sooner rather than later.
What type? I mean, I see you sometimes on social media with what do you call it? Weighted vest, or
is that a rucksack?
Yeah. So I mean, talk to us about that.
I do these little ruck talks, and I will say I've done them for 2 years. They're usually about 2 minutes long, and it's literally the conversation in my head and with God in the morning. So a couple years ago, I used to be in the type A hard charging entrepreneur that I am, have AirPods in so that I was listening to a podcast. I was learning while I was working out. And I realized I also have 4 young kids as I'm building these businesses. I was like, I don't have any other quiet time. I don't have quiet time with 4 kids in the businesses to actually have meaningful conversation with God and be alone in my own head. And so I took my AirPods out and started doing these rucks. And it started as part of my 75 hard journey, but every morning now I just get out on a ruck, about 30 to 45 minutes. And then whatever conversation is going on in my head or with God, I just pick up my phone and say, here's the Ruck Talk lesson today.
Wow. How has the response been?
The response has been incredible. I actually get messages now, Carrie, if I don't post one, like someone will be like, hey, you all right? Like they'll check in on me to say, hey, and then other times they're just like, hey, another great message. I really need to hear this today.
Yeah.
Thank you. It seemed like God was speaking through you to me, stuff like that I'll get. And so whether I'm on stage in front of 1,000 people or one person sees this Ruck Talk, I'm only focused on one person regardless. That's how, by the way, a little hack for anyone that's looking to get on stages, and Carrie can back me up on this.
Yeah.
You're never going to please everyone in the audience.
Right.
All you have to do as a speaker is make sure you're speaking to that one person that's going to be impacted by your message. And if you focus on that one and not the 100 or the 1,000 or whatever the number is, you're going to have a meaningful time and meaningful delivery on that stage. And you're not going to be worried about the perfect words, because there aren't any. It doesn't matter if you're Tony Robbins or anyone, they're not going to please everyone in that room.
That's right. That's right. So the Kairos Code, that is the 5 bridges?
The Kairos Code, there's a little bit more nuance to that. I want to introduce this word to the world because it's a historic word, that's been used throughout the world in many a times, and it's kind of gone by the wayside. And so I go into the nuance of it because some of those that grew up in like the Lutheran sect, there are Kairos camps, and they explain the word a little bit. But if you didn't grow up in the Lutheran church, you would have probably never heard of the word. So it's ancient Greek as well as biblical, and they both have a similar meaning. In the ancient Greek, it's actually an era or a momentous time. So we could think of like we're in the digital era. This is a Kairos digital era for the Greek sense. For the biblical sense, it's a divine moment when God acts. And the Kairos, and I guess the best analogy I give to those that have played or been in sports background, or maybe even writers that have been in flow, could relate to this. But Kairos time is existing without time. Essentially, you're in flow, you're in Zen, you're in the zone, if you will.
Yep.
And anyone that's played a sport and been in the zone, you are completely not cognizant of time. You are so in the moment, you are so present that time doesn't exist. You were just in the moment, in that flow. And that's by getting these bridges right, I think we can experience more Kairos moments. Like I want to experience all the Kairos moments with my kids. Like they're growing so fast.
Yeah.
And when I was a first-time father, I had a mentor coach that I had for 15 years, and he goes, Josh, the days are long, but the years are short. And now having a 14-year-old who's almost as tall as me, I can fully attest that he was right.
Wow.
And so I want to have all those Kairos moments with my kids. I want to have all those times, like in my business where I'm in flow. I want to have those Kairos moments with my wife. Like those core memories, I think, can come when we're focused on not time, but just being, like putting the full meaning behind being where your feet are.
That's good. I like that a lot. Yeah. I studied Greek. So isn't the other word for time more chronos?
Chronos, yes.
Yeah. And that deals more with like, what time is it? Like 5 p.m. But what you're saying is this era, this season, this divine opportunity. I like that. That's powerful. So the Kairos Code, you're basically giving people a code to make the most of their current divine appointed season.
Yeah, or even making the most of if they want to bring it over to Chronos, bring it in, like making the most of your Chronos time that you have here on this earth.
Yeah, that's good, man. So let's talk about EOS, because I believe you're one of our first EOS impact authors, and we're just really proud of you. We're grateful to Mark and Kelly for catching the vision, but we love EOS, Entrepreneur Operating System. It's changed a lot of my life, but here you are. This is your EOS website. What do you do if people hire you to be their EOS implementer?
Yeah, so much like any other EOS implementer, we're teaching the EOS tools. Like,
Mm,
so EOS, here's what I'll tell you my story, how I came into it. In 2019, my top advisor handed me the book Traction. And he goes,
mm,
Josh, I think this would be really good for you as you're starting to run this firm. You've gotten you've had a bunch of success thus far. To take to the next level, you're going to need something like this. Read it, loved it. Read Rocket Fuel, loved it. Here's the
mm.
problem. I was too ADD to read the back of the book. So
Yeah.
I didn't know implementers existed. I would have
Wow.
gladly stroked that check. Now, that being said, I get slapped down. I'm on to my next chapter and
Mm.
I start coaching entrepreneurs, and I'm the leadership coach because that's been my bag for 20 years.
Yeah.
And but I kept running into the same problem. And so all entrepreneurs have two major problems. One is people, and not I'm not saying people are a problem, but leadership, human development, that is a
Sure.
major issue in all organizations, getting the right people in the right seats. And then the second one is systems and processes to help them scale and grow. And so that second one kept coming up. And then, by the way, there's 100+ little issues that fall under those two, but almost all of them are under those two. And so as that problem kept coming up, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go get trained to help people on the systems and processes issues. So I'm not just a
Wow.
one-trick pony on the leadership side, which, by the way, it's interesting. EOS people think of systems and processes, but there is a ton of leadership that happens
Yeah.
in the EOS world. And so it's been a great marriage. So basically, when I have an introductory call with an entrepreneur, I'm like, which one of those two issues is your biggest issue right now? Because it'll just determine the path that we go.
Wow.
And as I'm having these conversations, EOS is becoming more and more prominent to get people up and going. And it's just been a great ride. And I'll tell you, 2 Saturdays ago, I have this box at Camp Randall, the Badger Stadium.
Oh,
And
yeah.
real briefly, it's right on the field in the south end zone. And so I'm sitting next to this other company that has the box next to us. And he introduces himself, and because we had never met before, and EOS comes up and he goes, they run a transportation company. He's like, we've been around out 5 years. In 4 years, we've gone from
Whoa.
70 million to 550 million. He
Wow.
goes, I attribute 80% of it to EOS.
Really?
And I was like, man, that's such a great affirmation because I've seen growth in my own companies, but I'm not their implementer. Like I have not, like we just met and he was able to tell me the success of their company. I mean, it's just exponential. It's been phenomenal.
What do you think it is? I mean, do you think it's because people get clarity? What do you think it is?
Clarity is a big part of it, but then organization and just having that third party in the room to help them implement tools that are simple enough to help them run on. Because all entrepreneurs, you and I have been entrepreneur for 20+ years,
Sure.
we just figure it out. And so even in I had an initial 90-minute earlier today, and I said, look, most of the companies we run into and have an initial conversation with are running on about 20% of their capability and efficiency
Wow.
and succeeding despite themselves. So our goal is to get you 80% or above and really help you put all the pieces together like a puzzle that help you just have rocket fuel in your organization.
Right.
And it's getting those right people in the right seats. It's getting role clarity. It's actually identifying issues, not just in your head, but on paper so that we can solve them at the root cause so they go away forever and not just discuss symptoms, which was a problem in my own firm because I tried to self-implement. So there's a whole lot that goes to it. But the biggest thing is that getting the vision clear and everyone knowing it, getting traction with all oars in the water where everyone's rowing in the same direction, and then just getting a really healthy team and culture that you're bought into, that everyone's bought into, going in that direction and fulfilling that mission that the company set out on.
I love that. Let's jump into the book here in our last few minutes. The book is obviously making a big impact. I already see a lot of people reviewing it, talking about it. I've seen that on LinkedIn, other social media. Why do you think there is this response of people that are just eating it up?
So it's interesting. I got a great little story on this. So there's someone that owns a publication here in Madison. He's
Okay.
been a writer and owns a publication. He came over to visit me and he goes, Josh, I love your book. He goes,
Wow.
he goes, your writing style is really unique. And I said, is that because I'm an amateur? This
Yeah.
is my first book. I kind of joke back. He goes, no. He goes, it's really unique. And here's what I took from the conversation, what I've taken from some of the feedback. I've read over 1,000 personal development books, leadership books in
Yeah.
my life. And everyone nowadays seems to be speaking as the expert. Like they're the expert in
Sure.
branding, or they're the expert in this topic, or whatever it may be. I'm not trying to be the expert, Carrie. I'm trying to share from my journey. I'm trying to share with the world my journey, my painful lessons and hard fought lessons, and some successful ones as well, that help me get to where I'm at today, and hopefully allow others to learn from my painful lessons so that they don't have to go through them themselves. And I think that's
That's so good.
the authenticity of it, and just me sharing from the journey instead of trying to be the expert in
Yeah.
whatever topic,
Yeah.
has caught people's attention.
People can see that you're real and be like, wow, what'd you call it? The hole in your soul. And they could sense that and say, hey, I can relate. Well, Josh, this is fantastic. I know that your 5 pillars, the Rhino, the Mastermind, the EOS, you got a lot of good things going on, but in a way, I'm glad you went through that painful thing, not because I wanted you to go through pain, but it just seems like you've emerged with the right priorities.
Well, I used to say that I would have never wished what I went through on my worst enemy.
Mm.
And now I say, if you must, go through it.
Wow.
Because there's some beautiful blessings on the other side. So if
good.
those painful blessings happen to land in your lap, they aren't for naught. Oftentimes God's preparation is packaged in pain. And I can speak from that now, being on the other side of my pain and seeing the beautiful blessings that have come through it and lessons that have come through it, that I don't wish it upon anyone now. It's more like,
Yeah,
if it lands on your doorstep, walk through it.
that's a good quote. God's preparation is packaged in pain. You better put that on Instant IP. That's pretty good.
I got some credits left. I'll get on it.
Yeah, you do, man. Now, listen, our team's really excited for your book. We see it already changing lives, to be merged with EOS and all that you're doing. Obviously, God's using you in a big way. So thanks for being here. Thanks for taking action and writing that book.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone on your team. I made a post in EOS last night on the Slack channel that if anyone has a book in their heart, that they got to reach out to you guys ASAP, because your team, the process, it was seamless, especially as a first-time author.
Yeah.
Enough. It was awesome.
Well, I'll tell the team that, and thanks for spreading the love. So, folks, get the book today, the Kairos Code. Tanisha just dropped it right there in the link, and share this with somebody. Listen, guys especially, and I know Josh knows this, but guys especially really struggle, asking for help. And unfortunately, a lot of them go into depression, suicide, and very destructive habits. So the Kairos Code is that lifeline. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Carrie.